Hey, this is going to be the color balance and best pack one pick ones of Aetherdrift. The format is very different. Some people would call it slow. I would characterize it a little bit differently. It has its issues, but I'm not here to complain about issues. I give the data because opinions don't really matter if you don't have the evidence to back it up. So this is going to be data first, then opinion second. And with that, we're going to talk about the color balance. So, as always, the trophy points are the percent chance to convert a winning run after first picking a card of that color or that card. There is a big change to the usual draft paradigm at the top of the chart. White is the worst color this time around. And in the first week, I would say that was the most important characteristic of Aetherdrift, but that was eaten by green being the best color and the most first pick color by a mile. And ultimately, there is no amount of good drafting or good playing that will outperform someone that just got lucky and found a open green seat. So I would go for green. You're gonna regret it if you miss out on an open green seat, and that's just the way it is here. There's a big drop to blue at number two, and then black at number three. Personally, I think black is a little bit stronger, but blue has four very powerful uncommons that are great at first pick. And then finally, there's red and white coming out at the bottom. Unfortunately, there's no commons in the top 10, but I love to talk about commons, so I'm going to sneak them in by talking about this list. This is the largest improvement in pick rate after week one. The way Aetherdrift games usually work is that everyone takes a nap until turn four, and then they start playing very, very big things every turn. So that's the reason why people call it slow, because the first three turns, anything you do around then is going to get outdwarfed very quickly. But once you start hitting turn four, you cannot take a turn off. You need to be slamming something down every single time. And if you take a turn off, you will get run over. So drafters evolved very quickly into taking these more expensive, high impact plays. These are the cards that basically doubled in first pick rate. Migrating Ketrodon and Thunderhead Gunner are both big creatures that show up at 5 and 6 mana. Stampeding Scurryfoot, it pretends to be a 1/1, but you do need to put 5 mana total into it, and it's pretty good for what you get out of it with 5 mana. And the last card on the list was Engine Rat. Engine Rat isn't itself a big creature, but is like an example of how we've been reacting to these big creatures coming down every turn, these big vehicles that are in play a lot of the time. If you play an Engine Rat, the green is going to have to figure out a way to deal with it before they can win the game. It's a very important pickup. Okay, so I talked about the nuts and bolts cards of Aetherdrift. Everything from here on out is going to be an expensive blockbuster card. The number 10 best pack one pick one is Loot the Pathfinder. It's got six abilities. I'm not going to read them all. I will say I don't think I've ever gotten a three color card on this list. I'm very conditioned to be against this kind of level of commitment, but in this case, like what you get out of Loot is well worth it. The number 9 card, on the other hand, is for all the loot haters. It's a Perilous Snare. It's 2 and a white for an artifact that has start your engines, and when the artifact enters, you get to exile a target non-land permanent from the opponent until this artifact leaves the battlefield. And then it's got a ability that turns on if you have maximum speed. You can tap to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature or vehicle you control, only as a sorcery. So, Snare is by far the best white card in the set, and it might seem a little bit mundane, but again, I need to talk about like the context of this set. People are running a lot of 5 mana plays, and this is a very good, efficient answer to them. And you also get extra value out of it. It plays well with start your engines because when you put this down, you can usually get at least one surprise attack in to get your speed going. And when you do get to maximum speed, it feels less like a draft card and it feels more like one of the commander precon cards instead. Number 8 is the Speed Demon. There's no formal Dragon Mythic in the set, but we do have the Speed Demon. It's 3 black black for a legendary creature demon, 5/5, flying trample, start your engines, and at the beginning of your end step, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is your speed. So this is a modern bomb. It has pushed stats, pushed abilities for its cost. It gives you replacement value the same turn that you play it, so you don't feel bad if it does get removed. And yeah, it's the best black pick in the set. It's an A grade card all around. Number 7 is Draconautics Engineer. It's 1 in a red for a 2/2 Goblin Artificer. Its first ability is an exhaust ability. You pay a single red to put a +1/+1 counter on it and give your other creatures haste for the turn. The second exhaust ability is 3 in a red to make a 4/4 Dragon Dinosaur creature token with flying. So I guess I fibbed a little bit. There is a dragon card kind of sneaked up on here. Kind of. So this guy is a lot in a small package, and honestly, I've never seen this card used to its full potential because even if you get like half your value out of this thing, it's enough to win the game. So you also have to give it credit. This is the best red pick, and red is a pretty weak color in the set. So getting it up here with red dragging it down, this card is very, very good value. Number 6 is the best uncommon in the set, Spikeshell Harrier. It's 4 and a blue for a 4/4 artifact creature, robot turtle. When it enters, it bounces a target creature or vehicle to your opponent's hand, and if they have the most speed out of all the players, they get their speed knocked down by 1. So I I know this card is a cheeky reference to a Mario Kart joke, but I respect Spikeshell Harrier way too much to treat it like a meme. Again, it is very, very good in the set because there are a lot of juicy targets in here, and you have to be playing big creatures every turn. Just the fact that you can add a 4/4 to your board and set your back opponent a turn is just insane in this set. So, crazy strong card, and I say Spikeshell Harrier a lot of the time, and people are like, "What? Oh, you mean the Mario Kart card?" And like, I can't deal with it. Its name is Spikeshell Harrier. It's a very good card. Number 5 is March of the World Ooze. It's 3 green, green, green. 6 mana total for an enchantment. Creatures you control have base power and toughness 6/6 and are oozes in addition to their other types. And if an opponent casts a spell on your turn, you make a 3/3 green elephant creature token. So I think in other sets, March of the World Ooze would be a meme card. It's a 6 mana enchantment that doesn't do anything on its own. But with the way that Aetherdrift doesn't really start until turn 4, 6 mana isn't really that much. And it's also like one of the few cards that actually rewards you for curving out and playing some of these cheaper creatures. So it's very easy to just play a bunch of small death touch creatures, stall out the board, and just wait to draw this thing and overrun the game. Very good. Number 4 is Lumbering Worldwagon. It's a cheap bomb in the best color. It's 2 and a green for a crew 4 vehicle. It's got 4 toughness and its power is equal to the number of lands you control. When it enters, you get to search your deck for a basic land and put it into play. When you attack with it, you also get to do the same thing, search your deck for basic land and put it into play. So Lumbering Worldwagon is easy to cast, and you can't expect to just single-handedly carry you to a win, but it puts you enough ahead that you will probably win, and that's reflected in the trophy points. Like the last 6 cards below this, they were all basically around the same score, but this is like the first big jump in card quality. It's it gives you extra mana, and this is a very, very mana hungry set. And last thing I kind of want to soapbox about, um, Aetherdrift is a vehicle set, but you shouldn't really draft it like it is one. You have to be very, very picky about what kind of cars you're playing. And I like to limit myself to 2, and Lumbering Worldwagon is the best one. So I don't like vehicles that much, and this card is crazy to me. Number 3 is Agonasaur Rex. It's 3 green green for an 8/8 trample, so massive stats. It's got cycling 2 and a green, so you discard it, draw a card, and when you cycle the card, you get to put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature or vehicle, and it gains trample and then is chargeable until end of turn. No downside. So yeah, Agonasaur Rex is just unfair. Sometimes the card, in fact, is just as good as it looks. Number 2 is the desparked Yanling Wind Rider. 2 blue blue for a legendary human wizard pilot with 2/4 stats. When it enters, you make a 3/2 colorless vehicle that has crew 1, and vehicles you control have flying. The last ability, whenever a creature with flying hits an opponent, you get to draw a card. Or 1 or more, so you only get to draw 1 per hit, I suppose. Yu Yanling is a great, tightly designed mythic. It's got 3 strong abilities that improve each other. It's a full trophy point above the number 3 card, and it would be an easy number 1 if it weren't for Sab-Sunen, Luxa Embodied, the number 1 card, and our Frog God. Sab-Sunen has well earned her god status with this draft performance, one of the strongest draft cards of all time and should be on the lists. She is 3 green blue for a 6/6 reach trample indestructible god. She can't attack or block unless she has an even number of counters on her. And at the beginning of your first main phase, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And if you have an odd number of counters, you get to draw 2 cards. So Um, I really don't think they could make a card more idiot proof if they tried. She protects herself. She has reach, so you can't get in through with flyers. She draws a bunch of cards. There are no real weaknesses to exploit here. You can't kill it, and you cannot outgrind it. And what's even more sad about this card is that they never kill you quickly with it. So you just have to kind of stand there and watch them having fun while this god just T-poses over you the entire time. And that's it. Thanks for watching the end, and have great Aetherdrift drafts.